was awesome until it wasn't. So for starting the race, the plan was to, Sam was going to start in the driver's seat. I was going to navigate for the first 2 laps, switch seats after 2. From there, we took off the start, started side by side with a Can-Am, and they got us on the initial throttle out, but by the time we got to the third corner in the short course, we'd made a run on them and got a gap. Got ahead of them heading out into the desert, so we didn't have to worry about trying to catch and pass them right away. And out into the desert we went. Car felt really, really good. The suspension, the back end was a little soft right out of the gate. But the car, otherwise, we had speed, we had the power. Sam and I were feeling good. Sam and I had been in the car a couple times before together, so we kind of knew what each other wanted from the driver's seat and the navigator seat. And we took off. In the first section, we were starting to catch some people. And right about race mile 10, it's a really long straightaway, and we're doing 75, 80 miles an hour, and the throttle cut. And at that point, I asked Sam, who was behind the wheel, I said, "Hey, are you letting off the throttle?" And he goes, "No, it's something with the car." So I started checking codes, trying to diagnose what it is, and I noticed in that moment that the speedometer was dancing all over the place. On GPS speed, we're in that 70 to 80 mile an hour in that section, and speedometer saying we're going 30 and then to 120. And what was happening was every time the speedometer jumped to a really high number, the safeties built into the car were cutting the throttle to protect itself, because it thought, we were exceeding 120 miles an hour, which definitely wasn't the case. So we pushed on. We got into the first technical section of the course. In that section, the throttle wasn't giving us problems. And we got down into the first lake bed where we were able to open it back up, and it started doing it again. And we fought it and we battled it till about race mile 40, when I just made the decision. I told Sam, I said, let's pull off course. And I jumped out, unplugged the speed sensor off the transmission, and jumped back in, and we kept going. the car ran flawlessly until about race mile 55-ish, when we just grenaded a belt. Best guess is we grenaded that belt because of the throttle cutting out and the clutching slamming open and closed on that belt. It was a little bit longer belt change than we usually have. The belt had completely come apart and actually had wrapped itself around the input shaft of the transmission behind the secondary clutch. So I had to take a little bit more time, pull that secondary clutch off, and make sure everything was cleaned out, get all the debris out of the clutches, to have the confidence to know that with the new belt on there, we weren't going to have another problem right away. Carried on, had no issues the rest of lap one. The car after that, again, felt really, really good. We knew we were behind the 8-ball a little bit, having to stop twice and then have that long belt change. But, we knew it was going to be a fight to not time out. And we knew from that point we had to have a completely flawless day from there to make it on time. So we hit our first pit stop. The TNT, Myers team, and Alpine crew fueled us up, gave the car a quick walk around, got us in and out really, really fast. Our crew this weekend was the best crew in desert racing. It was 3 different teams from Northern Nevada that we support. They support us. We all put our heads together and came down here to tackle this race, and they kicked ass every step of the way. So went out on lap 2, and the car continued to just perform flawless. Until about race mile 50, started getting a stutter. We got an engine light for a cylinder 1 misfire, which if you've ever driven or owned a Polaris RZR, you know the first thing you think of when it tells you is a cylinder misfire is a belt starting to slip. So we stopped. Belt came off the car, looked a little glazed, but didn't look bad at all. Slapped a new belt on, and Sam and I made the decision at that point, since we were going to do a driver swap in about 10 miles anyway in pit, to save the time in the pit stop. And so Sam and I switched seats after the belt change. We fired the car back up and went about 10 feet and realized very quickly that our misfire issue wasn't the belt. Not exactly sure what it is, but we had to limp the car back to Hammertown with a top speed of anywhere from 13 to 20 miles an hour is all it would give us. No RPM. Anytime we tried to get it up in the higher RPM range, it would start popping and spitting on us. So we just found the line where it would let us drive it, and we limped it back into Hammertown. Got into where you climb the hill to go underneath the Bronco arch to take it to the start-finish line, and the car just wouldn't climb it. It's a pretty steep hill, and it just wouldn't go. And we tried. I mean, we sat there, tried to let everything cool down. We did everything we could think of in that moment, looking at Hammertown and looking at our pit crew across the course. Disgusted at, at that point, I mean, it's a racing deal. There's nothing we could do. So we bypassed the Bronco, crossed the start-finish line, and pulled into our pit, and had to call it a day. At that point, we were timed out regardless, and with what the motor was doing, we knew at that point there was nothing we could do to keep going, and it was difficult and emotional for me for a lot of reasons, because I put everything I could into these cars the last few weeks to get here and perform the best we could and try to be as competitive as we were last year. And unfortunately, it's king of the hammers. Sometimes it gets you before you can get it. And desert racing in any way, shape, or form is one of the most brutal and unforgiving sports on the planet. But I want to thank Sam for coming out and sharing the seat with me. Really enjoy having that guy around. He's a fantastic driver. He races road cars for his other racing gig. He's picked up the navigating side of it really, really quickly. Just a fantastic guy to have. I want to thank every company and partner that has helped us in any way, shape, or form. I mentioned Bill with Reno Cycles and Gear, the entire shop, even our customers at Reno Cycles and Gear, because if you guys didn't support us and support the business, we couldn't be out here doing this. We love racing. We're desert racers to the core. And your support at the store helps fuel Bill's passion, my passion, to keep these cars going. And absolutely, we use them as an advertising tool, but that's just a benefit of being able to come out here and race. I want to thank Rugged Radios. Our relationship with them is top notch. From Greg, the owner, to Jaden, to Lance, all the technical guys, Eric, the event manager, the support they've given us over the last few years, and for a long time with me, best communications in the game. We were trying something new with communications this weekend, and they worked flawlessly. We had great clear communication, great range. Just, you can't beat Rugged Radios. I want to thank Zamp Racing, Chase and everybody at Zamp out of Idaho. We run their race suits, their gloves, their shoes. They even gave us a hookup with these awesome pit shirts we had this weekend. and a lot of the other companies that help us out. Method Race Wheels, Garmin, Baja Designs, BF Goodrich tires on the 4-seater, Maxxis tires on the 2-seater, Aftermarket Assassins, Pyrotect, just everybody that helps support us and allows us to do what we keep doing. Thanks to Jeff, our media guy, for tagging along this weekend and getting some badass shots for us. And you know, I added to the emotion of this weekend. You know, Bill mentioned in his qualifying recap that this is the last race of Reno Cycles and Gear. The last race of the logos on the side of the car. You know, Bill's been doing it for 51 years, 54 years. And you know, I've been fortunate enough to be with him for the last, you know, five years, and just the family that Reno Cycles and Gear is it's awesome. And we're gonna keep racing. You're gonna see us out here in the desert, still doing our stupid shit like we always do. But just knowing this is the last race that the Reno Cycles and Gear logos on the car it's emotional. It's tough, and we couldn't do it without Bill. So thank you guys for all the support, tuning into the videos. All your support means a ton. And again, thank you to Team Myers, Team Alpine Racing, and TNT Racing for everything those guys did this weekend and leading up to this weekend to get it done. We'll see you guys in the next one.